This week we're going to talk about change and resistance in our clients. If you didn't have a chance to listen to the PowerPoint on financial flashpoints, it might be a good time to review because it talks a lot about the physiological reactions to stress that our clients may be feeling, which may contribute to the level of stress. The focus in this class anyway on how change can occur in our clients is centered around the trans-theoretical model for changes or stages of changes that was developed by Prochaska. It has 5 stages that we'll go through each one a little bit now. Pre-contemplation is the stage where you're unaware there's even a problem. This is like times where you have clients come in for a simple budget meeting or a financial planning meeting, but you discover they're fighting, or you discover maladaptive spending behaviors, and you don't think they're fully aware of it yet. Your job at this point is not to order them to make changes, but to help them realize that they desire the change within themselves, that they could see the benefit of making changes in their life. Once we have awareness in our client that a problem exists, you enter into the contemplation stage, which unfortunately, if anybody's ever tried to lose that last 5 pounds, knows we often can get stuck in for years and years, because it's a time where we know we should make the change, we know we should eat healthier, we know we should give up soda, but we keep on saying, oh, in New Year's this year, I'll give it up, or when that wedding comes up, I'll give it up. So at this stage, there's awareness, but there's no passion to get behind changes. There's no desire to make the sacrifices needed to make a change. So your job as a practitioner is really getting them to be emotionally aroused, and that means getting passionate about it, feeling how much their life will change for the better if they make these changes, and evaluating what their life looks like now with the problem and what it would look like without the problem. The preparation stage is actually quite a large downfall for many practitioners, because we get so excited when our clients are ready to change and passionate about it that we just assume that they can figure out their way. We assume that they can Google a diet plan or Google a budgeting and just do what's right, quote unquote. And our job really is taking our time in this area and giving them the tools to achieve the success they need, and not get overwhelmed or find excuses for why they can't make the change that they are now committed to doing. In the action stage, our job shifts to helping them explore what rewards they can feel when they're making changes. This sounds counterintuitive because let's say we're working on a budget. The reward should just be having money in savings, but it doesn't feel as good as buying that sweater they want, or spending money on coffee at Starbucks. So we need to take time and help them find ways to reinforce. Maybe they do get to go shopping every 3 weeks if they succeed in following their budget, or we help them avoid making plans with friends, going to the mall, and try to think of ways that they can hang out with friends that doesn't require going to the mall or going out to eat. And then also helping them find people in their community that can support them. Sometimes it's groups if there's things like Overspending Anonymous in your community. Other times it's just friends that they really trust. In narrative therapy, which is how I work, we call this spreading the news of difference, is getting that social support network up, so that if we only meet with our clients once a week or 1 hour a month, who are they talking to the rest of the time when we're not going to help them modify their behaviors? The maintenance stage is really important because so many of our clients have failed in the past with whatever area we're trying to improve on, that we need to spend a lot of time differentiating a relapse from a mistake and helping clients see, oh, just because I spent 20 bucks at a restaurant when I was out with friends, when I only was budgeted for 12, doesn't mean that now I should go out to eat every night and go out drinking and spend all this money. It means I made a mistake that night, and for the rest of the month, I will do better. And then finally, it's the termination stage, which is a bit controversial in the financial therapy field, as it's always the goal for mental health professionals to get fired, to work towards termination. But that's not the goal in financial planning. I think it's something for us to have a discussion about in this week's Zoom, is if we believe the goal should be termination, or it should be a shift in relationship to like pure financial planning, or if it's a referral to someone new. Any problematic behavior that we see in our treatment has probably been a part of our clients' lives for weeks, maybe months, or even years. And so it has got to be assumed that mistakes will happen, that old behaviors, old problematic behaviors will occur because that's the norm for them. And so by being able to say it's going to happen, and don't feel like you're a failure or embarrassed by it, but rather say, oh, I only made one mistake this month instead of three like last month. And that's why I actually hate New Year's resolutions, because if you mess up on January 2nd, you have to wait 364 more days to get back on target. I like creating rituals around accomplishments, like saving $30 at the end of the month, rather than saying being perfect for the month. It's really important to assess your client's level of change, because not all clients are ready for action. Sometimes it's all about decreasing the anxiety, anticipating mistakes, making them comfortable with the process of change rather than doing change right away. It helps to decrease anxiety, and there's no negatives to doing this for our clients and assuming that they're early in the level of change and closer to pre-contemplation than we think, because it's always going to decrease anxiety to feel non-pressured by us. So you might be asking yourself, what are some indicators of where they are? Well, anxiety is going to be shown in resistance. And we all know what it feels like to have clients who are resisting our input, our advice, or anything. From the yawning, the interrupting, the blaming, excuses, the nonverbals of not making eye contact or looking at the clock. That's a big one. So what do you do with all these resistance? Well, there's a lot of techniques. Let's start with reflections. Um, Reflections aren't just repeating back what the client said, but repeating back what we think the meaning is. So you can do a simple reflection where you don't add what you assume the content or feeling is, but through complex and exaggerated reflections, you're able to have the client think about what they really want and what they're really desiring, really increasing that emotional arousal that we need to move them forward through the stages of change. Another really helpful type of reflection is a double-sided reflection. And this is something like you say, so on the one hand, you really want to create a budget because it'll benefit you in the ways you described before. But on the other hand, it's not something you're able to prioritize right now as important. What are some of the obstacles that you are placing more importance on in your budget? Or what are some of the things you want more today that's more important than the things you want in the future? Next is reframing, which is something I use really often. Something like, it sounds like life is really overwhelming you right now, and creating a budget seems like something else to have to do rather than something to help you have a new relationship with spending. Next is agreement with a change in direction. If anybody's ever been to an improv show, the yes and is a great technique to make a funny story happen on improv. But the yes but can help us create change by, like, yes, I know you're crazy busy and don't have time to do the budget, but is there anything you can let someone else do? Maybe let the housework slide a little bit, or ask a friend to help with childcare so that you can put a budget as more of a priority in your life right now. Then if there's a lot of resistance in this one area that you're working on, change it. Don't work on that. Go around the bush. So tracking your spending habits with the budget seems like a big effort. Let's talk about savings. Let's talk about what you want to spend money on in the future. Change the subject to make it more workable so they have a sense of accomplishment, that they were able to achieve something with you, and make your sessions more positive oriented. As much as we want to believe it, we cannot make our clients change. Our clients are the only ones who can change. And so we need to emphasize your personal choice and freedom. We have to make them feel empowered in our sessions to do what they want to do. I absolutely love it when clients come back the next week and said, when you said yada, 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 it really helped me think about things differently. And I reflect back on the last week's session and realize that they were the ones who said yada, 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 because that means that they had really internalized my speech and had started to buy it as their personal choice to make the change rather than me telling them to do something. Another possible resistant technique you might enjoy is the old reverse psychology. This is telling your client to do what they're not supposed to do, or even just doing go slow. Like, for instance, we assigned a lot of homework in regards to creating your budget. Let's break down the homework and only do one of them this week instead of doing all these assignments. That way they don't feel as overwhelmed, like you're doing them a favor. So as a review, when you're in the pre-contemplation stage, you have no awareness that you have a problem. No, it's not me. You're not considering change. Then you move into the maybe contemplation stage, where you're aware of the problem and you want to change, but not right now. Maybe in 6 months. Maybe in New Year's I'll change. Then you go into the preparation stage, where you're ready to change, you just don't know how to change. So you get the skills and resources you need to change. And then you move into the action stage, which is wonderful. You just have to make sure that you keep them positive, you keep them focused on their successes rather than their failures. And then the maintenance stage is when you've been making changes for 6 to 8 months, and your job really is to just keep on supporting these are doing things right now. There's a great study that explored how the stages of change relate to financial planning. The Kansas State researchers, Dr. Brett Lawson and Hazelwood, all explored how, based on this change framework, individuals must be in a changed state of mind before any progress can be made. Unfortunately, physiological stress blocks future orientations, blocks the ability to move forward in the change cycle. And so they assumed that respondents with elevated levels of physiological stress would have low intentions to change their behavior and make little or no progress in changing their behavior. Um, The creator of the Stages of Change model, Prochaska, also developed a matrix to identify which readiness to change stage a client may be experiencing based on 2 questions. One, do you seriously intend to improve your whatever in the next 6 months? And second, do you plan to improve your whatever in the next 30 days? So Britt and al. Use this to explore credit score. And as shown in this table, clients who respond negatively to both questions are not willing to acknowledge that change is needed. Clients who respond affirmatively to the first question but negatively to the second question are contemplating change, and clients who respond positively to both questions are in the action stage. So they collected data of 12 married cohabiting couples and 3 married cohabiting individuals. So it was kind of a small sample, but still very strong for a physiological research, which is difficult to attain IRB approval. And they simply did, it was measured skin temperature while asking the question, do you seriously intend to improve your credit score in the next 6 months, at 4 follow-up times. The lower one's skin temperature is, the more stressed out they are. This is interesting because what it means is your body is actually conserving energy in order to fight, flight, or freeze. Those physiological responses I talked about in the financial flashpoint PowerPoint. The main takeaway of the study is that stress matters. What they found is that clients who were less stressed are more likely to progress in their readiness to change behaviors. But even more interesting is that some of their clients who were advancing through their stages of change were still under a certain degree of stress. This gives level to this idea of emotional arousal that we talked about. It's a delicate balance that we have to, as practitioners, understand that we have to get our clients aroused enough, excited enough, passionate enough to make change in what we call useful stress or use stress without overwhelming them with debilitating fight, fright, flight, or freeze stress levels. The article by Britt Lawson and Hazelwood gave such great advice on how to work with clients to lower their stress levels. First of all, they suggested that you note their skin temperature during the handshake to discover if it's cold or clammy. And if it's lower temperature, then it probably means that they're more anxious. If it's clammy, then they're sweating, which is also a sign of anxiety. You can also assess their body language to see how stressed they are and use that as guidance on how long you should focus on joining with your clients to build rapport and lower that stress. If you want a more formal assessment, the In Charge Financial Distress Financial Wellbeing Scale is a free scale to use as long as you get their permission, and that measures financial stress. If you need to focus on reducing stress, then avoid stressful communication. This may seem like a duh, but oftentimes when we sense that other people are stressed, we get a little stressed out ourselves. And it may make sense if you are nervous to just bull right through to your to-do list and feel more confident. Instead of that, go super slow and ask questions that you know your clients can nail and feel confident in. Then use things like we talked about, the reflective listening and motivational interviewing, helping them talk about positive things like daydreaming about their financial goal and using scaling questions to assess their strengths. There's also some research that even little things like making your office more like a living room instead of something formal can help clients feel more comfortable, and even removing televisions that are playing financial news may effectively reduce client stress. The best way to keep your client's stress low is to keep your own stress low. I talked once about that HeartMath study that said our heartbeats actually impact one another, that our level of stress is completely contagious. So make sure you ground yourself before your sessions. Take deep breaths, calm down. If you are normally an anxious person, make sure you reduce your caffeine and be really focused when you're in session with your clients so that you guys can both have low anxiety and get to the stage of change that you both need. Thanks.